The Madlanga Commission of Inquiry says that it expects crime intelligence boss Dumisani Khumalo to return to the commission soon to continue with his testimony. The commission resumes its sitting in Pretoria today following a week-long break after an adjournment, and this was due to Khumalo's ill health. Now, the commission is set to rule on an application for a witness to have the highly confidential testimony heard in camera this morning. SABC News anchor Ayanda Nyathi and SABC News reporter Canny Maphanga watching developments there for us. So Ayanda is first up. Ayanda, talk us through what we are likely to see happen today, as we understand that, the way that the commission goes about its business is likely to change.
Absolutely, Mkolisi. We have a rough roadmap, if you like, of what's likely to come out, but the duration of our final destination at this stage is still unclear. Welcome back to the Bridget Mabanda Justice College. This is where usually we can say with a fair amount of certainty that there will be a witness who is going to walk through the doors behind me. But today we understand that there's going to be that application by the evidence leaders to try and have whichever witness is up next testify in camera. In other words, away from the gaze of you and I and other members of the public. What has since emerged, though, is that perhaps that process won't be as straightforward, given just how many other stakeholders want to get involved. But in any normal circumstance, much of the attention will be on that chair, just a stone throw away for where I am, where we've seen a number of witnesses over the past few weeks, including the main complainant in Khwanazi, the police chief in the country, Fani Masemola. We've also heard from the head of the NPA in KwaZulu-Natal. Today, the chair is likely to remain empty for the duration of the day as the evidence leaders bring forward that application to have the witness who is likely to speak, as I mentioned, speak in private. And this is, by the way, there's provision for this move in the terms of reference of this commission. From the very beginning, we were told that whilst the inquiry wants to do their work in as transparent a manner as possible, there will be instances where some of the testimony is away from the public because of the sensitive nature of that particular evidence. And I'll tell you what, even though there is so many unanswered questions, I beg your pardon, you definitely get the sense that there is a lot of sensitivity around how today is going to go, given just how tight security is. We had, for example, security checks even under our cars at some instances as you come in, which is a bit different insofar as procedure is concerned from the other days when we've arrived here. So no telling who's within the precinct itself, but whoever they are, pretty important. And I suppose that's why the commission is leaving nothing to chance. Now, because of just how intricate some of the legal processes are likely to be, it's difficult to say how long this will take. But Canny Maphanga is keeping a close eye on those developments, and she's also been with us since early this morning. And Canny, we've heard word of other stakeholders who want to be involved in that application.
Good morning to you, Ayanda, and to the viewers once again. Of course, due to the inability of the Madlanga Commission continuing with that very critical evidence of Lieutenant General Dumisani Khumalo, who is expected as the crime intelligence boss to close those significant gaps in the evidence in chief of Lieutenant General Khwanazi, it's quite evident that he is not able to continue at this stage with his evidence. However, the commission cannot delay its hearings any longer, meaning that they've had to rejuggle their witnesses in order to accommodate the next leg of hearings. But the difficulty with these particular witnesses, who we believe to be members of at least the PKTT or GCI Ops, is that evidence is of a sensitive nature, meaning that the Madlanga Commission does not want the public to gain this sensitive information because it could deal with a number of factors, including ongoing investigations, as this is a large inquiry into the allegations of criminality, political interference and corruption in the criminal justice system with respect to the South African Police Services and its operations at that level. So we expect that sensitive information may be what they choose to delve into going further, while Lieutenant General Khumalo takes the time to recover and return back to the commission. However, the evidence leaders will be giving an application application this morning, which is expected to seek a in-camera hearing of this particular leg, which means that if they are successful, then the Commission would close these hearings to members of the public. That means that we wouldn't be allowed to report or be inside these hearings, and by extension extend these hearings to members of the public that tune into these hearings every single day. However, the difficulty with the application today is that we now know for a fact that the application is opposed by at least two parties. We won't name the parties at this stage, but we know that it is two prominent newsrooms operating within South Africa's media landscape that will want to oppose this particular application. Largely, their arguments are probably going to center around the issue of transparency and public interest, as the work of the Madlanga Commission, not only this commission, but of course the allegations being probed in Parliament, have taken center stage in the country, and the public have a right, or rather want to know about all the elements being divulged, particularly in the Madlanga Commission. If that is the case, that these two parties oppose this application, Ayanda, what you're looking at is that they at least have or need to be given an opportunity to respond to the evidence leaders' application, that is, file their own papers before the Commission. That could at least take up until the afternoon for them to complete. And then, of course, the Commission will be able to hear that argument, because prior to that hearing, the evidence leaders will also be able to answer in their papers regarding why they seek that particular hearing to be in a closed session. So it is possible that the chair may give a deadline of the afternoon and then possibly hear it later in the day, or may have to adjourn to allow parties to prepare for the application, and then we hear the application tomorrow morning. But all that will be revealed at 9:30 a.m. this morning, when the evidence leaders register their application before the Commission. And then, of course, if there are any parties opposing, they'll, of course, register their interest before the Commission. So that is at 9:30 a.m. this morning. But it's clear that no witness can begin just yet, because they first have to iron out this particular issue of whether or not the public will be given access to this very sensitive information, where we've seen the Commission have to rejuggle their witnesses due to the developments surrounding Lieutenant General Khumalo. And of course, because of that fact, they're now in the realm of the sensitive evidence of phase 1, which the opposing parties rather would like to have access to and be able to provide to the public. So we'll hear that application at 9:30 a.m. It's back to you, Ayanda.
All right, Canny, thanks very much indeed. And no matter how it swings, the SABC News team will certainly be here for you to track those developments and put into perspective, at least context, about what that means for the continuation of this incredibly crucial process. We've heard from the very beginning that this is an inquiry that really speaks to what is at the heart and soul of South Africa's sovereignty, whether or not, for example, police are able to do their work without any kind of infiltration, speaks to the very issues that I think confront a lot of people who have an interest in seeing through the end of criminality in South Africa. So the process that's likely to unfold today falls within that realm, and that's why we'll certainly be watching it very closely from you here, from the heart of the country's capital. Okay.
All right, thanks so much, colleagues Ayanda, Nyathi, as well as Canny, Maphanga. It would be very interesting to see what shape all of that is likely to take, especially where the Commission is concerned going forward. Thanks so much indeed for that update. No doubt we'll be touching base with you in just a moment right here on the agenda. Right, let's move you now to other stories.